Welcome back from that short break. I'm glad to still have you on ADBN television, watching live from Abuja studio, the market report. Joining me right now from Texas, US is Mr. Lawrence Taylor, financial analyst and stockbroker based in the United States of America. Very good day to you, Mr. Taylor.
Oh, sorry.
All right, sir. So,
sorry about that.
All right, welcome to the show.
Yes, good morning. How are you, sir?
Oh, we are already in the afternoon here in Nigeria.
Yeah, it's 7:30 a.m. in America.
That's great. Now, let's eat the ball rolling on our show. First and foremost, how is America feeling under the Trump tariff hike? Because we need to ask that, because many of us are just reading reports from media, but you are there based in US. How is American feelings? What is that feeling like with the tariff hike of Donald Trump?
Well, it's a really bad situation, really. It's sad because it shouldn't be, excuse me, it shouldn't be. The unfortunate thing is that the Trump likes the publicity, oh, he's doing something, the president, I mean, and so he likes to have his name in the news, and that's just bottom line. It boosts his ego, he watches himself and things. But the unfortunate thing is that the effect on the generality of the population and the economy is not very good. Prices are going up. In fact, eggs used to be one of the most common, just a dozen eggs, for example, used to be one of the cheapest foodstuff to buy. Now, the average household in America, they are cutting back on buying eggs. Usually, if you go eat out in a restaurant, a fast food restaurant, say McDonald's or a Burger King, one of the staples is some kind of sandwich with eggs. A lot of people are not ordering that anymore because these restaurants are now increasing the prices just based on eggs alone, and that's just one item. Yeah. So and then if you go to the bigger things like the auto industry and all that, the effect is terrible. And that's part of why, again, I know we're going to get deeper into it. That's part of why even his boosters are saying you got to put a freeze on this. That's why he put up 90-day pause on the tariffs, because things are just going out of hand.
Well, and for most of us outside the American show, we are like, oh, with this tariff hikes, like America is happy with Donald Trump saying American first, the wealth of America must come. It means that it is on the other way side. If you are talking about eggs in US is going up. In Nigeria, eggs is also very expensive. But let's take a look at the citizens themselves. Do they really welcome this particular policy initially? Because it gave them an hint towards the election, or they didn't realize that this is where it's coming from?
Well, there are two ways to look at it. I'm not a political analyst, so let me not delve too much into that aspect of it. But the truth is that there was some. The Democrats, first of all, didn't hold their campaign well. If they had done it, they would have won. They had everything going for them to win. So, unfortunately, because of the way the Democrats handled their candidacy, it turned out the way it did. And secondly, from what I have read, the Democrats themselves, Democratic voters, didn't turn out in a way that would have kept the presidency in the Democratic hands. Again, I'm not a politician and I don't play one. I'm not even on TV.
Exactly. So but let me take you to your roots. Let me take you to your field. Let me take you to where you are more comfortable to speak on. The stock market received a shock when this tariff was announced globally.
Yes.
I know you must have followed the trend, but what was your view when the stock market was a little bit jiggling and there was a little bit of a rumble roster within the camp, particularly in European countries?
Well, it wasn't good news at all. The tariff was not a good news. And here's how you know it wasn't a good news. This is not the first time a leader of a country or a leader of the US has dabbled with tariffs. I'll go back to the 80s and back to the 1930s. In the 80s, we had a Republican, same party as Trump, president called Reagan, Ronald Reagan. He went on national TV to say, because people were urging him to put tariff. This is a Republican president from 40 years ago. He said no, that the side effects of tariffs are so bad that the economy will suffer. And that's a Republican. That wasn't a Democrat. And so even the clips of that White House address are playing all over social media in America today. Then we go back into history. There was a demagogue in Germany. You know who I'm talking about, Hitler.
Exactly.
Tariff was his big thing, just like Trump is now. But Trump is magnifying it because it's a larger country, it's a larger economy, it's a more modern time. But one of the big things that Hitler did, I believe it based on what I was reading in my research, was about 1933, was tariff to help his friends who were in business make more money. The downside of that, this is in the German context, was that all the surrounding European countries ganged up against Germany. And the summary of it was that it didn't turn out well. The economic part, forget the genocide and all the other, the economic part of it was so bad for Hitler. And so we're talking 3 different incidences dealing with tariffs now, and then and why Trump thought that would be a good idea, I do not know. Again, I'm not a politician. I don't advise him, not even economically or financially, but he thought it would be something to do, and it's really, in fact, I believe, again, based on the prognosticators I'm following online, is that this could turn out where next year, when the midterm elections happen, he could lose Congress. Yeah, that's because even the Republican House of Rep, Republican senators, when they go back to their districts, the voters themselves, even people who voted for these people, including Trump, are saying that this thing is not working for them. So a lot of, more than likely, again, I'm not forecasting, but based on what the political analysts are saying is that Trump could lose Congress. So he will not have that fallback position, and he'll have to deal with at least a Democratic Senate, if not both houses. That's how bad it is.
Now, talking about, although we are not talking about politics of the US, but I know you could lose that Congress on the basis of the high cost of egg in US right now. But let's leave it. Let's leave it that way, because we're also having the same battle here in Nigeria. Egg is very expensive. But another aspect of the global market that we need to also examine is that a lot of analysts have pointed that even the dollar himself will be weaker if strategic, policy is not followed up on this particular exercise that Donald Trump is taking. What's your view on that?
And that is very true. As a matter of fact, I've been researching for this interview.
I think you have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you very well again. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you very well. Okay, your earpiece.
Is it my earpiece?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. We can hear you. Yes, it's your earpiece.
Okay, it's my earpiece. Okay, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, very well.
Okay, all right. Let me actually. So what it is that usually, especially when there's a new presidential term, a lot of foreign countries, especially China, will pour money into U.S. treasuries, including bonds. This is the first time in over 3 decades that has not happened. This year, this first quarter that we're about to, we're in the second quarter now.
Exactly.
But this is the first time in a long time. Again, I didn't go back in history. I just tried to keep it as close to the recent times as possible. But this is the first time where there has not been an inflow of money into U.S. treasuries and bonds. Because one, the largest stakeholder in that is China. And you're going to put tariff on China. China, okay, we support the dollar by putting money into this. We're not going to do that again. So already just the dollar alone, it's in fact is losing value against competitive currencies. Yes.
Very interesting. And again, there are other issues that have been pointed out on the global market scale that public spending is going to be increased, particularly in developing countries and some European countries as a result of this tariff. Do you share in that sentiment? Because economists across the world are saying because of this particular policy, public spending is going to increase, and not just at developing countries level alone, including on the developing countries at emerging economies globally. Do you share in that perspective also?
Is that public spending?
Public spending in terms of this particular effect of the tariff on global economy. Countries are now preparing to spend more since there will be shake-up in their earnings in regards to what will happen compared to what they'll be earning with the U.S. economy going forward.
It is possible, because it is possible, although I didn't research that aspect of it, so please forgive me. It is possible because, for example, if most countries will put their money into the U.S. treasuries and bond market, if they now have to reshuffle that and go to a new direction, it is possible. Again, unfortunately, I didn't review that. It is possible that they will redirect some of the funds they would have put in here, especially in U.S. treasuries, into other things, and that's possible. So it is possible, but I did not look at that before coming on.
All right, I quietly get you on that, but let's take a look at another perspective to this particular issue on the global market. On the first day of the announcement of the tariff, there was a global shock. European market was unstable. European banks, the European Union and European banks, they didn't even know what to do about whether to retaliate back or to take action against the US. But as we speak right now, in Washington, there's a meeting of the IMF and World Bank Group holding all central bank governors across the world to a meeting. What do you expect of that meeting?
Well, the thing about it is that IMF and World Bank, they are organizations, but they are not responsible for a specific country. So that's why leaders of the different countries are meeting together. And I guess again, I didn't look at their agenda, but I can in between our conversation take a look. It's quite possible that they may come out with some kind of memorandum or some kind of policy statement that they may direct at the U.S. and other governments that are doing the tariff thing. But again, I didn't look at it, but in between I may take a look. I can take some cursory look at what's going on my other device.
Exactly. Now, another issue that we need to also look, because the IMF and World Bank, we're expecting their meeting to end by Friday, then we have a resolution from there. But WTO has come out, World Trade Organization have come out and said this particular tariff will definitely bring a shrinking global growth, a shrinking global job expansion, and the rest of them. So what do you make of WTO allegation or analysis of this particular tariff that we are going to experience a shrinking global growth under this tariff?
I believe it's accurate because here's why that assessment is accurate. Again, I'm not in a World Trade Organization, but here's why that is accurate. Just look at the North American geographic region, which is the three countries of Canada, US in the middle, and Mexico to the south of US. They in proximity, geographical proximity, these are the three closest countries. And and Mexico has said they will retaliate. Canada, in fact, I was yesterday, I watched a piece where US citizens that usually they just drive across the border and go to work in Canada. A lot of them, their visas, which didn't used to be even an issue, are not renewed. a lot of American workers in Canada, they are Canadian. Now the Canadian public and the Canadian political bodies are so upset with the tariffs that they are not renewing visas for American workers who are based in Canada. A lot of them are returning as a result because that's their livelihood. People have lived there 5, 7, 10 years and are coming back to America. Because of tariff, the cost of housing in Canada, which is to the north of United States, is so high that people are there's no more rush for real estate because prices are going up. Prices on timber, which is what a lot of buildings in North America are made of, it's mostly of timber, are going up. So just timber alone, because of that, the cost of housing in Canada, which used to be one of the cheapest places to buy houses, is going up. So if you look at just that region, out of the 7 continents, if you just look at the North American region alone, these 3 countries, and then you expand it, extrapolate it to the wider world, you can see the effect of that.
But even having analyzed the other side of this particular policy of the tariff, there are some people that are still optimistic that there's a positive side of it. You share in that sentiment that there's a positive side that will become a gain for America on the long run or the short term, even at the end of the day, even though we are analyzing the challenges here and there, but there's still a positive gain that will come out of this tariff. Do you share in that sentiment that it's a positive gain from the tariff?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Why would there be a positive tariff this thing? When let's say the average American car, a new car, if I'm going to go out there and buy, let's say Toyota Avalon, which used to be the Cressida, which is about $32,000. Used to be $32,000. That same car today, if I want to go buy, I'm going to pay $40,000 for it instead of 32. So that's just Toyota Avalon or the Toyota. Okay, let's go come down a little bit. Go to the Toyota Camry, say $25,000. Why will I now go and pay $35,000 for a Toyota Camry when it used to be $25,000? So you can, if you extrapolate that across the board, just the auto industry alone, you can see that it's not good. And then you go into other industries, and even the tech devices.
Exactly, ICT.
Because the tariff is all the components that come from other countries are going to go up. So the cost of right now to buy, let's say, an iPhone, let's just put on the mid-range iPhone 16, it's about $1,000 here. But that was before the tariff. But now you go in to want to buy an iPhone 16, let's say, it's going to be about $1,400, $1,400.
That's serious.
That's why now a lot of people, instead of buying the latest iPhone now, they are looking at iPhone 14, they are looking at iPhone 13. People are having to make adjustments that ordinarily they wouldn't make in their buying decisions, all because of the tariff. Because you are paying a premium, so to speak, money you should not have paid, that you are having to pay now. So it's bad.
Exactly. Now, talking about that, we understand that, even without missing word, there could be a positive side of it from the government of US, particularly with Trump seeing the reason why you have to push this tariff high. But we also know the government of US also spend so much money in terms of their budgeting, defense, and the rest of them. But a critical question that will be put out is, after making all this money from this tariff, by the government side, by the company side, where would they put the gains of this tariff for ordinary Americans? Because as we speak right now, why I'm asking this question is right now, eggs are very expensive in US right now. Even though we are complaining here in Nigeria that egg is expensive, we're not hearing from someone who stay in US that even US egg is very expensive. But with all these gains, where would Trump put all this money into in American economy?
I am not in his government, so I don't know.
Well,
I'm not,
but
I'm not part of.
I understand, but there's a timeline of what he wants to do. Like he has put it across that he's facing development. Rural development, for instance, those are one of the campaign promises that he made. Maybe this money will go to rural development.
It's possible, but I don't believe. When it comes to developmental things. That is one of his. That is some of his campaign promises that he never fulfills because that's not what he's about. I mean, his history both in the first term and so far shows us that those things that are going to blab the news. Oh, Trump did this, Trump did that. That's what he's about. That's. I mean, I'm not a psychologist. Also, I'm not a political analyst, and I'm not a psychologist, but. The commentary I'm getting is that that's what keeps him going. It's an ego thing. So when it comes to development, he's not interested. Well, let me not say he's not interested. That is not his focus. That is not his focus. I'm not in his brain. I'm not in his mind. But that's not his focus.
All right, let's leave it at that. But on the global market stakeholders and industry players, from your own perspective as someone who is a player in the stockbrokers and financial sector, what would be your advice in terms of strategic responses to this policy? Because as I speak right now, the global market is there is uncertainty around it. Here in Nigeria also, in the first quarter of 2025, because of this tariff, do you know that our stock market has been unstable? We have been out of bearish outing all week bearish. It's just today market we saw a bullish outing. But that will show you how effective, how impactful this policy is. But what would be your advice in terms of a response of global market stakeholders and industry players?
Thank you. That's a very good question. That's a question that I'm very, very comfortable answering.
All right, go ahead.
The professional advice I will give to, let's say, a client of mine will be, okay, we have to put together hopefully they have sufficient resources to put together 3 strategies. We'll find what is called a guaranteed bucket, where no matter what's happening in the market, you're making money or you're not losing money at all. So let's say we'll divide. Let's say somebody has. Let's just use $1,000, just for the sake of an average citizen, including both young college graduates and older people closer to retirement. And again, the advice would be tailored to the individual. The advice to someone who has been in career 25, 30 years that is looking at retirement will be different from someone who just graduated, got their first job. So it depends on the first and foremost will be depend on the stage of life that the person is at. The second, that's one aspect. So regardless of where they are at in that spectrum of work life, I'm going to look at, okay, we have to have what in my practice, I call it a guarantee bucket. Where, okay, we're going to put 33% of your money here no matter what is happening in the market, because we know you're not going to lose it. It may pay you only 3, 4, 5, maybe 8%. And don't expect it to grow to 10%. So you have to pipe your expectation in that, because this is your fallback bucket. And then we're going to have, so I'm sorry, I have a empty cup. So that is one bucket. So that's your guarantee bucket, where out of this $1,000, we're going to put $333 in this bucket. And that way, no matter what's happening out there, you know this is secure. Then we're going to get a second bucket. Again, they're all going to be similar sizes.
Exactly.
Another $330,000, not $330. We're going to put that in the market. If you first of all, we'll assess your risk. How much risk can you take? How much of this $330 that we're going to put in the markets can you afford to lose? If you say 10%, which is $33, fine. If you say 50%, which is roughly $175 or so, fine. But you know that there's possibility you will gain, but there's also possibility you will lose. So that's that bucket. And then another bucket we're going to have is that, okay, there's an in between the guarantee and the full participation in the market. We're going to have another bucket where we call it the index. So we're going to mirror, let's say, the S&P or the Dow Jones index. So you're not taking out the risk that you're going to lose up to 50 or 100% of that you will in the market bucket. In this bucket now, we're going to put another $330, again, this rough estimates, into this bucket with the idea that you're not going to lose that. If the market goes, so it's in an index portfolio, if the market goes up, they guarantee certain up, let's say up to 15, let's say the market goes up 20%. Don't expect this money to grow 20%. The most we can give you is 15%, for example, or 10%, depending on what the cap is called a cap. Depending on what the cap is that we're going to put on that index. And they pay the fee related to that. That way, that $330 that's in that bucket is secure. If it gains, good. If it loses money, if the market loses, you don't lose any money. The money is there. It's not quite as guaranteed as the first bucket.
Exactly.
So the strategy is we're going to spread it into those three buckets. That's, for my personal client, that's what I do.
Exactly. Very interesting. Now to Nigerian government, which you also need to advise the Nigerian government. Although Nigerian government is looking at the way to also have a reciprocal approach to the whole entire tariff hike, but they're also very cautious about it. But what would be your advice as a professional to the Nigerian government on this issue going forward?
Well, my advice to the Nigerian government is put together a policy that is tailored to Nigeria, that's specific to that population, to that economy. Because Nigeria is blessed, my home country, my homeland, my motherland, my fatherland, is blessed with God. It's blessed with resources, both human capital and natural resources. The advice is, whatever greed the people in government have, please set it aside. Set aside your greed. Oh, line up, bury billions of naira inside your home, in your backyard, and under your mattress, or whatever they do. Focus on providing service to that population. There is enough money in that country that nobody, the average Nigerian should really not be poor. It's just that when people go in, instead of doing the public service, which they claim they are being elected for, or if it's a political appointment, they play to. If Nigerian politicians and public servants, both civil and political, will set aside this greed and this corruption thing, that country, I mean, look at Korea, look at South Korea, look at Malaysia, look at these southeastern countries. They don't have the resources that Nigeria has, so they can do better. It's somebody that look at this. What is it? Ivory Coast, that military guy that
Mali, Burkina Faso, and
the Traore or whatever. Yeah, look at what that young man, 35, is doing in that country, and that's West Africa. So you have to have the political will, the public will. Okay, I'm here to do good, not for myself, but for my legacy. Focus on the legacy of the country and what generations after I have died and gone, what they will say I did to make a difference. If they do that, the country will be great.
Exactly. I'll take that from you. If the Nigerian leaders can do well, do things of legacy, then the generation unborn that are coming will say good about them. And for the American government, we also hope that tariff issues will be well settled, and Donald Trump will have mercy on American citizens, because eggs are very, very expensive in the United States of America
Yes.
right now. I have to say it because here in Nigeria, we also complain that eggs is very expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the simplest food items to get anywhere in the world, especially here in the US.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Lawrence, for coming on the show today. We hope to have you once again very soon. Very soon. So my regards and enjoy the rest of your day in Texas, US.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Have a good day.
All right. I've been speaking with Lawrence Taylor, a financial analyst and stockbroker based in Texas, US, who have helped us to understand global market stability. He pointed it out. Donald Trump is ready for business. He's ready to ensure that the wealth of US comes to US. But as he said, as someone who stays in the US, it is not as easy as Donald Trump has put it. Eggs are very expensive in US, right? Houses, houses are very expensive. Things are very expensive. Cars, automobile are very expensive. And we are all feeling it on a global trend. This will be the size of our show today. We come your way next time. My name is Adefola Olablekon. And from me and my crew, we are saying thank you for staying tuned on ADBN television for watching today's live from Abuja studio, the Market Report. Till we see you again, enjoy the rest of your day.